Hey everyone, it's Jim
And Charles
from Mellow amps. And let's get the chassis mostly assembled and wired up. And before we can do that, let's install our high quality 1/4 inch stereo jack. You're going to need a 1/2 inch socket or 13 millimeters, and we've got to get it oriented correctly. So have a look at where we are. So the DC jack
is facing upward from our perspective, so we're looking
this is
from the bottom.
This is actually the bottom, that's right. But so long as you've got the DC jack up on the top here and the switch down at the bottom, then you've got the correct orientation. And you're going to put your little washer on first. And because this is the front plate, you want to be really careful. You don't want to scratch it up, because that's really what you're going to see.
So don't use that rough 1/2 inch wrench or whatever that's going to really mar up the surface here. Use a nice clean socket if possible. And still then be careful with it.
So I'm going to start off with just the socket in my hand. And I'm going to get this, let's make sure we've got this oriented properly. You see how we've got the ground tab facing up? Let me see if I can get a better focus on that. There, the ground tab's facing up, and we've got our 2 signal tabs on the left and right side, or opposite sides of each other. And now we're going to just take our wrench and we're just going to snug that up. Now you're going to need to hold this. I've got really tough fingers from years of building things, but you might want to put something in there to help support it. Almost anything will do, because it's going to try to twist. So you want this on fairly firmly. You don't want to over torque it, of course. And just check to make sure everything is oriented. The center tab should be straight up or very close to it, and that looks good. If not, just loosen it off and adjust it until you get it right. Okay, well, yeah, I think we're almost ready. Okay, so we've got our PCB and top plate assembly on the bench. We've got it on a nice soft cloth, and let's just bring over the rest of the chassis. The DC jack should be facing up, and let's get this wire for the fan, the wire loom positioned. So can you see how I'm going to tuck it in the side here, so it's running basically underneath everything. Sorry about the focus. The camera likes to focus on the things that are closest to it. And this is a little fussy here. In fact, the whole thing is fussy. So I'm just going to get a finger on that. And now we want to bring it in like this. And you're going to have to pull all your wires inside the chassis. I think everybody knows that.
There we go.
Okay.
Just a little bit tricky.
Now we're not going to screw the thing together just yet, because it's a lot easier to get everything in the correct position.
If you can wiggle it around a little bit.
Okay, so let's start over in this corner here, and the
let's get this boosted up so you can see it a little bit better while we're working on it.
So J3 here, the blue junction, that handles the DC positive and negative. So let's get that done. And if you look at the junction, you can see we've marked a positive right here, and the negative is right beside the cap. So let's get that negative in there, and that's going to be this wire right here, yeah? So for this sort of job, needle nose pliers really rule. You're going to want to wiggle that wire so that you can get a nice return bend in it. That's why we've got extra wire, so that you can wiggle it around. And if you're a little bit long here when you fit it, it might be wise to snip it off ahead of time.
And don't be afraid of pre-bending
Yeah.
the end, maybe on a little bit of an angle.
Charles is ahead of me, so I've just put a little kink into the wire, or a bend into it, so that it'll better line up with the hole.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of awkward because you can't see the opening. But if you need to, you can always get a helper aboard, and you can always, at this point, we can always have a look sideways and see what's going on. And I can do that, but I can't show it on camera. So Charles is going to give me a hand, and he's just going to hang on to the chassis for me.
Okay. And you can see this is why we have not screwed it down yet.
Yeah. Okay, I'll see you back in just a minute after I get it installed.
Once you get it in there, screw it down.
Okay, it took a little bit of fooling around to get the negative side on. If you're having a little trouble, make sure you check your blue junctions and make sure that the screws are fully backed out, and make sure you opened up the blue junction with a little awl or a little finishing nail. Earlier in the build we talked about prep, and this is where it really comes home if you didn't quite get that open enough. Okay, so that's good. Now we need to get the positive side on, which is the side closest to the fan terminal.
It's this wire right here you can't really see on screen.
And it's another tight fit. It gets easier as we go along. So, and again, we left a lot of wire so we could do a loop back so that we could get in there. So just take your time and get that wire on to your positive terminal, and you got a nice little bit of wiggle room in here too. So okay, so hop to it and I'll see you back in a minute. Okay, one more bit of fun in this corner. So we got the fan wire lead coming across,
And it's coming down around the fan, underneath all this wiring, and then over into the corner here.
and it's got a clip side, and the clip side is outboard, so it should be, you should have the clip facing on this side here, and there's a receiver on the fan connector. You can see it's got a little indentation and a couple of little tabs.
It can only go on one way unless you break something.
Yeah.
So it just comes up, it comes around in a little loop, and then joins onto the board.
Yeah, and I'm going to actually show you something before we get that installed. Take a look at this. See, we've got this label here. That is just a real pita. So let's grab a sharp knife off the bench here, and we're just going to carefully trim that off.
Very carefully, do not cut the wire.
Yeah, you don't want to cut anything, so cut it a little bit wide.
And then just unwrap it.
Yeah.
This is just a caution to use the right voltage with the fan because they make 12 and 5 volt versions of these.
Yeah, and you might want to put a little bit of hot air onto this to get it to open up, and you probably will use a little poker, and it won't take much, and you'll be able to just pop that label off of there. Okay, I'll see you back. Okay, getting that label out of the road really improved things. So you might need to poke your wire down a little bit because it can be a little long here going around the fan. And let me see if I can get that on camera. I've got it all lined up correctly, and I'm just going to push it on. There, Bob's your uncle. Okay, things are going to get easier now, finally.
Yeah, that was the tricky bit.